Hello and welcome to the Australia Today. Today we have India's High Commission, Mr. Manpreet Vohra in Australia. In last few weeks, there has been some unpleasant incidents involving Indian Australians and especially Hindu community. Here we have to discuss three Hindu temples being vandalized and ugly scenes in Victoria's heart, that's Melbourne's Federation Square, where Tiranga, the Indian flag flying, Indian Australian youths being beaten up. Mr. Manpreet Vohra, how do you see these incidents?
Well, they're very unfortunate, they're very deplorable. We condemn them in the strongest terms. We're also disappointed that they were allowed to come to this pass, that they were allowed to happen. Because over the last several months, ever since, in fact, the Sikhs for Justice announced this so called referendum, we have been drawing the attention of the Australian authorities to the potential for violence and for sowing disharmony in Australia that this particular group poses. Since we are familiar with their attempts, we are familiar with their tactics, we are familiar with what they are capable of doing. So we had raised the red flags, and we are disappointed that it could not be nipped in the bud, and that we had this unfortunate violence unleashed yesterday.
The Australian security agencies, Australian authorities have in number of times reassured that they are looking into the matter of Sikhs for Justice. They were saying they have control over it. You people were also describing situation the way it was. So, where was the missing piece? What happened? Was there lack of understanding from Australian authorities' part or Victorian authorities' part, or things were not explained the way they could be?
Well, I'm not sure where you got that from. I don't think the Australian authorities have upfront spoken about Sikhs for Justice or any particular groups. They have certainly assured us that matters are under investigation, but I don't think they have named any particular groups thus far.
You this morning also met to Premier of Victoria, Dan Andrews. What was the discussion?
Well, among various other things, we did naturally discuss the violence yesterday. In fact, that was the major part of the discussion. He was also very disturbed by seeing this violence break out in Melbourne and the threat to peace and harmony over here. He has assured us that the police are investigating, that they are ready to take whatever steps might be needed to ensure security and safety, and not any recurrence of such incidents.
Yesterday, the people who were caught in the violence, there were a number of international students as young as 19 years old. So, is High Commission concerned for their safety? Are you doing something about that?
Well, we are concerned about the safety of every Indian in Australia, no matter where or no matter what the circumstances. So we hope very much that they will be well looked after. Those who have been injured yesterday, fortunately, we are told that the injuries are minor and that they have been treated and discharged. We certainly would always hope for the best for them, and will continue to do whatever is required for their welfare.
Is there advice to international students who come from India into Australia, or the new migrants who come who are Indian citizens, for how to be safe here?
Well, I think the universities do a very good job. When new students come over here, they get a very good briefing on life over here, what to look out for, what to watch out for. Their numbers are so large and they are spread all over the country that it's not possible for any one office, such as my office in Canberra or this office in Melbourne, to be able to brief them in any specific way. In any case, has been a peaceful place for a large number of years. The threats to violence, the threat to social safety and harmony, which we have seen yesterday, We hope very much that it will be nipped in the bud and there will be no cause for concern.
As I'm given to understand, you and the consulate is having number of consultation with community organizations also. So if I can define their feeling, which I have talked to them, they are dismayed, disappointed, and few are angry. What are you gasping while talking?
Well, certainly they are all of that, and rightly so. Anyone would be concerned about this. But they are also careful not to overblow this thing. They are hopeful that this would be a one off and that things would improve.
Last word, High Commissioner Vohra, what is the pathway forward? How, as these goons are declaring that Melbourne was only a smaller picture which they have shot, now they'll be going to other different cities. So, where do we go now?
Well, there are several things that can be done and should be done by multiple stakeholders in this entire campaign of the so-called Khalistan referendum of the Sikhs for Justice. One is, I believe, that the majority of Sikhs anywhere, and even here in Australia, they do not support any such activities, any such secessionist tendencies. They are proud Sikhs, as they should be. They are proud Australians, as they should be, and they're also proud Indians, as they should be. But that majority often feels threatened and cowed down by the radical elements who, as you perhaps know, take over or try to take over the Gurudwaras. They certainly seize the microphones there and they propagate some hate-filled ideology. I think that the silent majority must stand up and not give them the space over there. That's one part of it. Another part, of course, is the threat to law and order, which obviously is in the domain of Australian authorities to do. We hope very much that they will take these as a warning sign of what the potential from these groups are, and that they will not allow foreign-based groups like the Sikhs for Justice to come to a country like Australia for holding a Khalistan referendum or a Punjab referendum, which directly threatens the security, integrity, and territorial sovereignty of India. So we hope that all these threads will fall in place and that they will not get any further space or oxygen here in Australia.
Mr. Vohra, thank you for talking to the Australia today.